Oscar Piastri made it easy for the stewards. A 10-second penalty at the British Grand Prix in Silverstone cost Oscar Piastri a win and valuable points in the 2025 Formula 1 Championship. After the race, he was fuming with the decision by the stewards. But my question is, did he make it easy on the FIA, Norris and the home crowd? I'm Wimbo. Here's 3 seconds to leave a like. The British Grand Prix was a chaotic one with changing conditions. Max Verstappen had beaten Piastri to pole a day earlier by using a very skinny rear wing, and that cost the 4-time champ in the race as he didn't have the downforce to fight. See, he explained in the interviews after the race that they had a close watch on the weather forecast and the chance of rain was around 20%. When he went to bed, it had already risen, and by the time the race started, it had already rained and there was more to come. They took a gamble and lost. The race started and on lap 1, Lawson crashed and Bortoleto crashed a little while later. The race got going again and Verstappen was passed pretty simple by Piastri at lap 8. He just didn't have the grip with the low downforce. More rain came down in lap 9 with Lando Norris close at Verstappen's heels. Max begged to get pitted, and when he slid off track, it was easy for Norris to take second place in his home race. The Red Bull pit crew did manage a better pit stop than Norris, so Verstappen came out ahead of the Englishman. Oscar Piastri was flying when race control neutralized the race. It was getting too wet and dangerous to continue. The visibility was too low. Hadjar proved that by slamming into the back of Antonelli. As you can see, he came out of nowhere. We're at lap 21 now and it's dry again. The race is getting started. Piastri saw the lights of the safety car go out and was effectively the safety car. He dictates the pace now. He stepped on the brakes quite hard and Verstappen had to pass him briefly. Norris and the rest of the grid also didn't expect it. Then he stepped on the gas and drove off. Verstappen tried to follow but spun and only thanks to his racing skills managed to keep his nose forwards and continued in P10. The F1 TV commentary team first talked about Verstappen overtaking Oscar and thought that might be looked at. The Sky Sports F1 team immediately talked about the possible penalty Piastri was going to get. A little while later, the situation was noted and then investigated by the stewards, who handed out a whopping 10-second penalty. McLaren pitted Piastri first, took the penalty and then pitted Norris, who came out 4 seconds ahead of his Australian teammate. Oscar Piastri did try to convince his team to swap the McLaren cars around if they thought the penalty was unfair, but they didn't. I suppose Lando Norris winning his home race was fine with them as well. Norris won, Piastri second, and Nico Hülkenberg scored his first podium in 238 starts. I'll do a video about him next. It was a pity the Papaya boys paid no attention to him when spraying the champagne on stage. Nico deserved a little bit more attention, I think. Piastri lost his race due to one critical point he overlooked. Something that has been in play for a very long time. Okay, let's have the penalty debate to get that out of the way. Oscar Piastri applied 60 psi to the brakes and slowed down from 218 km per hour to just 52 km per hour. The race had a video and an article explaining this. You're not allowed to do that once the safety car lights are out. The FIA deemed that move as erratic driving and gave him penalty points on his license and a 10-second penalty, which cost him the win. Andrea Stella tried to blame Max Verstappen for gamemanship and making a meal out of it. I don't think that was the case. Funny enough, Piastri did the same thing at the restart 5 laps earlier and the stewards had already noticed that, but did nothing about it. I believe Nico Hülkenberg had to avoid Stroll in that instance. Now, a lot of people, myself included, compared that braking behind the safety car with what George Russell did in Canada. Apparently, the rules are different when the safety car lights are still on, and the PSI was only half of what Piastri did. I can understand Piastri's frustration, and I think it would have been fair if the FIA had warned him with a black and white flag or something not to brake like that again in the first instance. However, that won't fit the conspiracy I have about the FIA and F1 when it comes to certain situations. Max Verstappen said in an interview later that he was surprised to see Oscar get a 10-second penalty all of a sudden, as he had those situations before and nothing was done. I honestly don't think he cares about who wins when it's not him. About Piastri asking to be swapped, he said he understands it's harsh to punish another driver for something which happened to the other driver. Although I do believe McLaren had a plan ready in case there was another safety car, to double stack and keep the track positions in place. Of course, that's easy to say afterwards when the guy with his own stance at Silverstone has won. And that's what I wanted to talk about. Besides Formula 1 being a sport, there's also the entertainment and the commercial aspect to take in consideration. Okay, bear with me here, because this is tinfoil hat stuff. It's just a feeling that creeps up from time to time. I'm just gonna say it. I believe FIA and F1 don't mind giving certain penalties if it's in the interest of the show. There, I said it. Call me an idiot, I don't care. In this case, Lando Norris is chasing Oscar Piastri in the standings. The closer they are in the standings, the greater the chance of fireworks. I've seen this happen in 2021 too, where certain decisions from the FIA and F1 led to Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton arriving in Abu Dhabi level on points. Hamilton got away with impeding and other stuff, whereas Verstappen didn't. Max Verstappen escaped a big penalty in Jeddah with the brake checking thing. I'm going to be honest about that. So, coming back to this season, we noticed that Lando Norris didn't get any points on his license for the Canada crash. No grid drop either, as the 5-second penalty was added to his finishing time. It was quite handy that they could do that when Norris finished 4 laps down on the rest of the grid due to the safety car, under which the race finished. That's exactly what I mean. They, the masterminds, will always find a way to wriggle in what they want to achieve, unless they have no other option left. In the case of Oscar Piastri in the British Grand Prix, he made it easy for the stewards to arrange a home win for Lando Norris, who qualified in P3, kept it on track, didn't overtake Verstappen because he spun with his low downforce setup, and didn't overtake Piastri because he had a penalty. I call it another lucky win, just like his first one. For the championship battle, I'm happy. It's more entertaining this way. But it left a bitter taste in my mouth. It looks like the FIA gave Piastri a 10-second penalty to make sure Norris won. With a 5-second penalty, Piastri would have won. So the biggest mistake Oscar Piastri made as a non-British driver at Silverstone against his English title rival is that he wasn't on his very best behavior. He needs to be 100% squeaky clean, or it'll open up the doors for what happened with the penalty. If he had braked at 30 psi and then sped up and drove off, he would have won that race easily. He pulled a 14-second gap earlier in the race. It's a lesson learned, I hope, as I like Piastri. I notice every race I root for him more than for Norris. I can't help it. Piastri said that this whole ordeal has made him more motivated to win more races this season. And that's exactly what he needs to do. Use that brilliant MCL 39 to beat Norris in quali and keep it clean to prevent any interventions. And that way, he'll be the next Australian World Champion. Subscribe. Take care now. Doei doei. Een Bortolato